edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, August 15th, 2018. I'm the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Zachary. And on the panel for the first time in probably a month at least, all three of us are together. Yeah. My immediate right, the redhead.
Red. Anybody call you Red? Has that ever been a nickname for you, Nick? Red?
Not really.
No.
And
I guess it is now.
The far right, the elder statesman of the panel, the Duke. And
co-elder, I mean, age-wise, we've both been on the show the same length of time, right?
Right.
I realize I'm way older than you.
15 and a half years, but
I'm the old guy.
Before we get into sports, a few housekeeping duties. Sunday night, Duke, you, I, and our good friend Joe Whittemore were golfing. We played the back nine.
Well.
You drove and hit into the trees on the right. I took my drive, hooked it left, so I was far away. And I'm
sorry, what hole are we talking about?
Number 10, first hole. We just played the back nine.
Never even found the ball.
So, I didn't go to help you because I was a couple hundred yards to the left.
Yeah.
Well, Joe left. Do you remember his back was sore? He left after 16.
Did he find my ball?
So I talked to him last night. So he's walking up the cart path on number 9.
Yeah.
He found your golf ball.
You say was it an obvious?
Right around the cart path.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So Duke looked, Nick, and oh great, there goes my score for the night. So
is that right? That's funny.
Yeah.
So he found it.
And our 80-degree streak, Duke, I believe that continues.
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously continued today. I'm sure.
Do you know the real number?
I think Monday. I think Monday was 26, 27. I think today was the 28th straight day. 26, really? I think, tied the record, and last 2 days have broken it.
Yeah.
Maybe Monday broke it. I think 28 straight day of 80 or above in Burlington.
Yeah.
Weather records go back to 1883.
So Nick, Duke, and I went out and golfed last night.
Not very well.
And again, I'm here every week complaining, and again, I will say, cannot wait till September. But I was wearing a gray shirt, so I couldn't see all the sweat. Well, I take the shirt off. Freaking thing weighed about 12 pounds. It just and even Nick, and I've known Duke for nearly 40 years. He never complains about the weather. I've heard some rumblings. I've heard some rumblings from him.
I've even noted that in print, I think, in a column, Hawk, that I never used to complain about heat.
So in about 16 hours, he'll be swimming in Martha's Vineyard in the ocean. So lucky for him.
Maybe not. It might be a little longer, but yeah, by Friday I'll be swimming.
Yeah. Because I'm going to spend the afternoon.
Hopefully the ferry won't crash going over to the vineyard tomorrow. Hopefully I won't be in the water tomorrow night.
Yeah. We talked, I wasn't on last week, a couple weeks ago, how low Lake Champlain is, but I went out for a swim the other day, and I was nearly, when I swim near Hathaway's Point, I was nearly at the Grand Isle. I mean, I literally was out in the middle of the lake, and I still was chest high, and it says, boat may run over me or something like that. So, and let's say I had one other tip.
Speaking of the lake, I'm a little surprised the lake seems to, again, there's been a ton of rain down south. So even like Otter Creek, some of the rivers to our south, I guess, have been dumping in a fair amount of precip into the lake. But the lake's been holding relatively stable at about 94.5, 94.6. But as you see, Hawk, from your perch on the lake, boy, we're not too far from repeating what we did 2 years ago, being able to walk from Kilcare out to Mosquito Island.
Okay, so Nick, we report this like 2 years ago, saying this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Well, this will never happen again in your lifetime.
And not a totally crazy thing to say.
Hence, 2 years later, it may not be as wide because not only were we able to walk from the point to Mosquito Island, we literally, it was like two-lane traffic. It was that wide.
And for that matter, aside from the channel that the island runner, the ferry, uses between Kilcare and Burden Island, I mean, believe me, it's not too hard to almost get to Burden Island without getting too wet. I mean, there's, it's been,
it's been
and unfortunately, the dreaded no swimming signs just posted at the Bay Park a few days ago that had been hanging in there against all odds, maybe. But Kilcare's hung in there. Kilcare, I don't think it's had any problems yet.
Yeah, and of course yesterday was primary day, and so I told my wife before I came on the air, so I would just have some semblance of intelligence, which is hard to do. But I said, Donna, quick, give me the messenger. Where is it? Oh, it's on your office floor. So I pick it up, and I'm going through it. They usually have a box of all the towns, all the candidates, and the number of votes. I'm going through it, get through the want ads and back page sports. I said, it's not here. So I pop in the show here 8 minutes before 6:30 and mentioned it to the Duke, and as he said, inexplicitly, it was not there. How could they have just...
Again, far be it for me to beat up in the messenger.
Right.
Messenger publisher, editor, Emerson Lynn has been way, way, way more than good to me. You know, it's there wasn't much going on. One main contest in Franklin County was a Democratic primary contest for Franklin County probate judge. Not exactly certainly a not unimportant position. Larry Bruce, Bob Cronin, Larry the incumbent side judge retiring in January, his predecessor Bob Cronin, just a couple of very able, good judges. So, but it's not a high profile position. And that was really the only contest in Franklin County. But again, I don't know. I was surprised not to see anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, I happened to be in Enosburg at 1906 hanging out with my kid, and as it happens, Vaughn Como, one of the two candidates, along with Bob Farrar, longtime St. Albans attorney. Vaughn's office is in Enosburg, so I said, hey, you know, this, what's going on? Because I looked at the messenger, saw nothing. So I went down to his office. Mr. Como was in, I guess, St. Albans, probably on legal business, but talked to the folks at the office, his wife, in fact. And she's my source of info. I assume it's accurate info, but she said that Bob Farrar won the Democratic primary. That still begs the key question of the Republican side of it, because in all likelihood, one of them got enough Republican write-in votes to get the Republican nomination.
Yep.
And she didn't have that information. And again, she's my sole source of info here, but she said that Bob Farrar did win the Democratic primary. And I heard just yesterday, right as I was voting at City Hall with some of the candidates out front, that Bob Farrar apparently had filed in fact, actually Elizabeth might have been that source of info here at Northwest Access, that he had filed as an independent candidate, which was news to me, surprising news to me.
That was just in case he lost.
Well, I can't speak for him, but I raised that issue when I interviewed them, but I'm not sure how I worded the question, but I think I said something like when I interviewed Bob and Vaughn, I assume no independents are going to file, and I certainly didn't hear anything from Bob Farrar about, I'm going to file as an independent.
Yeah.
All I know is that I guess he did file. So he's definitely in very good shape now. He won the Democratic nomination, apparently had filed as an independent, I guess. So again, Vaughn Como's only hope seemingly is if he got more and enough Republican write-in votes than Bob Farrar. And I sure don't have that info, and especially with write-ins, that might have been impossible information to get today. But I'm a little surprised that there was no story on probate judge. But again, it's a primary. Sometimes it's, folks don't stay around long.
Well,
I don't know
mentioned to you, to me, the optimum date would be the first Tuesday in September.
Yeah, the day
You've
after
got
Labor Day.
Day after Labor Day, everybody's hunkered down for the school year.
Which is what Massachusetts is doing.
Right.
New Hampshire's even a week later. But again, I think I've even talked to Jim Condos, Secretary of State, and the word I get from some state folks in the past has been, well, we have to do it earlier because we want to make sure that, soldiers, National Guard folks, whoever, to service people overseas get ballots in time. And that's fine, certainly a laudatory goal, but it begs the question, is there something magic going on in Massachusetts and New Hampshire?
Exactly.
Folks, states who have a later primary.
Yep.
For the record, the Boston Globe, a few weeks ago, I just happened to notice her edit, they were complaining about the Massachusetts primary being so late.
Okay.
They were saying earlier primary makes a lot more sense. And they said it also, incumbents have such an inherent advantage most of the time. They were saying an earlier primary would give challengers, just a better chance to compete. Anyway, I just look at it as voting. I mean, I have no idea what the percent turnout was.
Well, that's
yesterday. I was thinking
looking
it wouldn't be 10%. I can't imagine it was higher than teens.
Yeah.
That's impossible to believe.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't even 10%.
Yeah.
So if you can't get people to vote in summer, why are you going to have a summer primary?
Yeah, exactly. So
anyway.
And lastly, Nick, I have not seen you for nearly a month. You went down to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Your mom moved down there.
No, not yet. She's still up here. There was a scouting trip kind of, Nick, was that?
A little bit, yeah. We might.
That's a good trip.
Yeah, Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We got to check out a lot of different stuff. See,
What town?
we were
were you
down
looking
in
at?
the Raleigh area.
Good old
yeah.
triangle, right?
Yeah, we just went down and just were there for a week and looked at what it's like down there. And, my sister wants to go to college down there. I might go to college down there. We don't know yet, but we'll see. It was.
So you had a
nice down there.
good gut feeling for the place
Yeah.
down there?
Yeah.
So the Duke told me, I think last week, you were wearing a North Carolina
That
Tar
I
Heel
was.
T-shirt.
Much to the happiness, I'm sure, and glee of one of our regular callers.
So if you're a Tar Heel fan,
Yeah.
what's your feeling about its neighbor 8 miles away, the Blue Devils?
Not so much.
Not so much.
Not so much. In fact, I'd say Nick is toned down. When I broached the subject, Nick looked at me like, Nick, no Blue Devil sympathy here? He looked at me like a typical North Carolina. Your typical North Carolina person obviously goes with either typically UNC or NC State
Yeah.
and hates Duke. Hey, the
Yeah.
uppity private school in Durham.
Yeah.
So
So Nick,
Well,
this is
I told Nick I would try not to hold this
I went and walked.
personally against
We
him.
were.
But Nick did visit.
We
some
did
of Duke.
visit Duke. I wanted to see Cameron Indoor Stadium.
okay.
But just walking around, once it took us an hour to find a parking spot
No,
that
parking.
wasn't.
I'm
that wasn't
sympathetic.
visitor
Parking's my
parking.
biggest beef with that place.
Right.
You can't park.
And so then we had to walk quite a bit. And man, if you ever want to feel poor, go walk around on the Duke University
Yeah.
campus. I mean, jeez, this place was just like, wow. All right.
Parking stuff. But it's funny you mentioned parking. Nighthawk, this should be an easy answer to this question. When I go down occasionally every few years, I used to go down every year. In fact, my class, some of my best friends of long ago are getting together for the Duke Carolina game
Yep.
on November 10th. It's not a good weekend for me. I had to big off. Anyway, when I go down and catch a football game on occasion, guess where I almost invariably park? How about Duke Forest?
Okay.
I mean, I'll go down like a mile down the road and get
Okay.
a
Yeah.
space.
So just to share, and probably good for the viewers, why I call Richard Carpthwaite the Duke.
Yeah.
Back in the days when he worked, I worked, and your dad worked at WWSR, WLFE.
Yep.
When we went from WWSR FM to Country Life 102,
Yep.
WLFE, I was already the Nighthawk because I worked nights. The co-owner gave me that nickname. So Richard
Great nickname,
Carpthwaite,
it's
the
nice.
news director, needed the name for WLFE.
Yep.
So unbeknownst to me, he chose, I thought it was a great name, Duke Forest.
Was it Bo Winchester? Was it
Well, John Kimmel,
JK?
right. John Kimmel, the co-owner,
AKA Bo
name
Winchester.
changed it to Bo Winchester. Just get that country flavor on that station.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
I think for years you didn't realize it was from Duke. You just thought it was Duke University.
No, I
It's
thought
Duke
you
Forest.
took a Duke because you went to Duke
Yeah.
and Forest
Just
from
threw in
Wake
Forest.
Forest.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, Duke
I lived-
Forest is a pretty
It's funny,
good
when I
name.
was, for about 3 years, a great farmer, I lived out between Raleigh and Durham, was actually in the town of Wake Forest, where
Yeah.
Wake Forest University originally was,
Yep.
Yeah.
before moving to Winston-Salem.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Anyway.
it's and I was thinking about that. You might be able to answer this question for me because you spent time there. But how in the world do they get enough people parking for major sporting events?
Yeah, parking. There's some, that's
I was
funny you
thinking,
mentioned.
there's
Parking is such a pain.
three times the amount of parking at MVU as there is on the campus of Duke.
There are some parking. If you're out by Cameron, you saw the tennis courts.
Yeah.
Nice swimming facility. Yeah, Duke is not. When I go down there, Nick, I just think of poor UVM. Boy, if UVM could just have 1% of Duke's
Right.
money and stuff,
Yeah,
they
I
would have
can
had a
only
new
imagine,
hockey
yeah.
basketball arena decades ago.
Yeah.
They were washing money. There are some places
Okay.
near Cameron, just some parking spaces.
Yeah.
I guess they get it done.
So Nick, watch this. I'm going to do a professional move. It's going to be
We
called
should
the
probably
segue.
The
talk
segue.
sports at some
Oh,
point.
here we go. Speaking of Duke, they're on their Canada
they're in
trip
town.
right
Jeez,
now.
they're in town.
And you help, so they're on ESPN Plus. Is that the computer where it used to be ESPN 3?
ESPN
ESPN,
Plus.
yeah, I know.
They make
I know
you
Nesson
it's,
Plus.
It's
ESPN
basic.
Plus.
Well, Nesson. Okay, so ESPN Plus is basically like you can watch it on your computer, you can watch it on your
Okay, let me
phone,
stop there. Is that
but you
different
have to pay
than
for it.
Okay, so that's different than ESPN3.
Yes.
Because I watch a lot of UVM
Yes.
basketball games.
Now
on
those
the
games
ESPN3.
probably will get moved to ESPN Plus,
Oh.
which is kind of unfortunate, but
So tell me again, what is ESPN Plus?
ESPN Plus is basically ESPN doing like extra games that nobody would want to watch. So like if you want to watch like the Brewers play the Pirates, that game will probably be on ESPN Plus.
And how do you access ESPN Plus?
Well, you can just go online and you sign up for it. I think it's like $5 a month or something
really?
like that. I've been thinking about signing up for it, but if they start putting UVM games on there, I definitely will. But and that's my feeling is because all those games that are kind of like the online only ones, like the UVM basketball games, have kind of been going into the ESPN Plus kind of things.
So Duke is in
interesting.
Toronto tonight.
Is that right? So they have a few games.
Yeah,
huh?
3
Yeah.
games in Canada.
Really?
And
UVM
as I-
actually was up there too.
Yeah,
recently.
UVM
UVM's been up
over
north of
last
the
week
border.
had 3 games,
Yeah.
and they crushed everybody. The Canadian University basketball games, that's 3.
Yeah.
Grab a couple guys.
The
and
Dukies actually
probably
had
beat
a
'em.
pretty good Canadian player a few decades ago whose name escapes me.
So they're in Laval, right outside Montreal.
Playing what, McGill and Laval
Yeah,
on Sunday?
something like that. But as we talked about in the past, and of course we're a few months away from basketball season, Duke University has the top 3 high school recruits in the nation on the same team.
That's
So-
a big surprise.
So I'm looking at my mock draft, okay? Now, dig this. The top 10 players again, it's mock, to be drafted next June. Out of the top 10, 8 are freshmen, 1's a sophomore, 1's an international player. So the top pick at this point is R.J. Barrett, Duke. Second pick is Cam Reddish, Duke. Nassar Little, North Carolina. And the 4th guy, who I saw a film footage on him, his name is Zion Williamson. They got him listed here 6'6", 272. They said last night 6'7", 285. And if
That
he
kid
was
can
the
dunk.
NBA today, he'd be the 2nd heaviest guy. And so
Is
they
is
talk
that
about
right?
that.
And he's
So-
Duke, and the Dukies grabbed him.
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
right, Mr.
Okay,
Williams.
Zion Williamson.
They
So
kind of
showed
stole him. Looked like he
dunking.
was going elsewhere.
Clemson,
Clemson.
And then,
Okay, so
and
they-
got him away.
Well, the first time I saw him, I said, boy, there's a man. I know he's 18 years old, but I said, there's a man. Just big
Oh, yeah.
guy. So they showed him do a dunk. Nick,
Oh yeah.
the guy, and they froze the film,
Yeah.
literally took off right from the foul line, a.k.a. Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it is mind-boggling to me in the last 10 years how these big guys can just be so athletic.
Well-
And he went flying. How many feet is it from the foul line to the basket? I should know that.
Yeah,
But I
should too.
don't.
I don't know.
But anyways, he made it
Yeah.
easily.
Well, Nighthawk, like my junior and senior year of high school was when Zion Williamson started like coming. Like and this kid.
Are you
this-
telling me you knew about him?
I've known about Zion Williamson for years already.
Is
His
that right?
dunk highlight videos have been
Oh,
all
really?
over the place.
Oh,
online.
really? Is
Yeah,
that right for
that's
you
how
for
I. That's
years?
how I passed the. That's how I passed the time in probably the second half of high school.
Is that right?
Me and my friends, we would watch Zion Williamson as
Wow.
like a 15-year-old dunking all over everybody.
Where's this guy at? Is he out of South Carolina?
I believe so.
But looked like Clemson had
Yeah, I think he is. I'm not sure exactly, but
You're
I
paying
mean,
more attention than I am. that's
for
sure.
for a couple of years at least now, I've known about this guy, and it's always been known that he could really dunk, and so it's kind of weird
but
that
when you
he's
first
only
saw
now
his
getting
body,
to college.
right? I mean,
Oh yeah,
he's a guy you wouldn't want to meet in a
he's
dark
from North
alley.
Carolina actually.
Okay.
Salisbury, North Carolina.
And this is Williamson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Zion. So
Yeah.
North
Yeah.
Carolina.
6'6", 275.
Well, I'm sure he'll have hopefully
Yeah.
one good year.
No,
Duke,
I asked
obviously not more
the
than
Duke
that.
here if he wanted to go up to Laval, but he knew he was going to be away that weekend.
Yeah.
So
I mean, would you have had some interest in
if
that?
you wanted to go, I
Is that
would have
right? You
went.
would've?
You know, we could have had some Molson Canadians up
I
there.
mean,
or
my
something.
friend, the commissioner, didn't even mention it to me. My hardcore, as in Duke football season ticket holder living
Yeah.
in Vermont.
Yeah, and
Really?
Laval, I'm presuming pretty 100% sure, it's probably the hockey arena,
Yeah.
new hockey arena of
Yeah.
Laval Rocket.
Yeah.
that just premiered last season. They're AHL team of the Montreal Canadiens.
That's right. I did hear a reference to that game. I listened to the 690 AM 6 to the TSN 690 folks. They were giving away a couple tickets yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been that would be cool, especially Duke coming up and so close. It's weird. It's yeah.
Sorry,
UVM there,
guys.
too.
No offense to the Dukies. The coast means more to me. Saltwater means more to me than the Blue Devils.
I don't blame you after this summer. So we talk baseball, and I would like to sit here and just talk glowingly about the Red Sox, but I don't know what else to say. They're winning at a .711 clip, 71%.
Yeah.
They continue that, Nick. Season ends first weekend of October. They will end up with only 115 victories.
Wow, one shy of the all-time record.
Is it
So
once
is that
the
Seattle?
record's-
Seattle
no.
one? No.
I don't think it's
Seattle, I thought, had 113.
Seattle had something weird.
Like
I'm going to look it up.
2001, and as we mentioned before, after that, Ichiro might have been the MVP that year, and they lost first round of the playoffs.
Well, I think I mentioned this maybe when you weren't here, but of the 5 best records in baseball compiled by teams, the 5 best, most wins in a season, out of those 5 teams, guess how many went on to win the World Series, Hawk?
Well, since you've asked
Just
like
one of
that,
them.
I'm going to
Did I
say 0.
mention- How about one?
It's just
One out
of
of 5.
The 98 Yankees, I believe it was.
Is that right?
Either
Just 1 out of
97 or
5.
98,
And
yeah.
that, I've got a question for you, Nighthawk.
Yep.
I think you were going to concede defeat on a certain team tonight.
Yeah.
What's a bigger story? You're not seemingly out of it after waltzing to a division win last year.
like
We have a
call
call.
or
Maybe
Oh,
we'll
we
come
have a
back to
call.
that.
Alrighty, good evening. You're the first caller tonight on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Hello,
Hey, caller.
gentlemen. How are we doing tonight?
How you doing?
Good. Doing good. Enjoying the weather. Enjoying the summer. I'm
So-
not complaining about the heat like most because, before we know it, we'll be looking out the window. It'll be 10 below zero, inch of ice on our vehicles, and we're going to be staying. That 90-degree weather really wasn't all that bad.
Yeah, you're better.
A lot of times the heat will keep you in the house a little bit, but winter does that as well. At least in the summer, you can get out. You don't have to chisel ice or snow. You can drive around on dry roads, and it's a lot easier getting around. So I certainly don't mind this weather at all.
Yeah, you're a better man than me. I think I really didn't used to complain, but I've done some complaining this summer. But good for you, Bobby.
Yeah. Hey, I was looking through Roto World today or last night, actually. Nighthawk, you must look at that a bit, too,
Yeah.
for your rotisserie baseball. And they put tidbits on about, all the different teams of players, who pitched last night, who hit a couple home runs, and they do minor leagues now and then. And I caught a little thing on Cal Raleigh.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, and it said Cal Raleigh went 3 for 5 Monday night for short season Everett. All 3 hits were singles, and they said the 2018 third round pick has shown some pop in his time with the Aqua Sox, hitting 5 homers and slugging .556 in 9 games with Everett. The former Florida State backstop was a steal for the Mariners as the catcher who doesn't have a standout tool but doesn't have any weakness neither. And then they go on to say the switch-hitting catcher could be a very quick advance because of his skill set, and there's a good chance that he ends up as a starter behind the plate in a very few years. So that's a very good report on the young man, and you get into their systems like Seattle and stuff. They're a good team, but they do have catching problems, and chances of advancement there would be much quicker. They have Zuno now catching, which he bats usually about 200, usually 25 homers, but he's really nothing special. So, I hope this young Raleigh boy takes the opportunity and makes the advancements that he's certainly capable of doing and hits the big leagues.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has
Wow.
this so far this year. 20 games. He's got 5 home runs, 18 RBIs, and he's hitting 284 for Everett.
The
so.
scouting report
Pretty impressive.
before the
Wow.
June draft was he was a genuine offensive player. No issues there. Some defensive issues, lateral movement, but some good coaching will
Right.
tame
Right.
those ills.
And look at guys like Gary Sanchez. If you're good, if you can hit the ball, you're going to make it.
And
to
Gary
the major
Sanchez is
leagues.
horrible behind the plate.
Right.
So again, his team is equivalent to the Lake Monsters,
Yeah.
the short
Yeah.
season Class A.
Yeah.
Yeah. How old is he, Nick? I'm guessing 21.
yes, 21.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
A couple
right,
years,
Cal.
as the caller said. So now, caller.
And again, the beauty is that it seems as though these young kids are making it to the major leagues a bit quicker. And, like we've said on the show, most of the year, the older veterans that are going the other way are no longer getting these $10 or $12 million contracts. They're just kind of out of baseball. And, the young kids are coming up and, most of them doing pretty well. I mean, your Nationals have put some good players on the field the last couple years. That Trey Turner and this Soto kid, and they have the Robles kid.
Yeah,
that'll
Victor
be up
Robles.
next year. So
I actually got to see him in person.
You
and-
saw Victor
Really?
Robles in person.
Yeah, I went to a Durham Bulls game and they were playing Syracuse.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
Nick made it to
Syracuse
the Bulls.
Chiefs. Yeah,
and
that's
he was the leadoff hitter. for
yeah,
them.
because he broke his elbow or hyperextended it, whatever that is. So he missed most of the season. Because Juan Soto, who's having a great rookie season,
My gosh.
came up last week in May, 15 home runs, 40 some odd RBIs,
Wow.
hitting 300. I'm telling you right now, he never would have came up if Robles
Yeah.
was still playing.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
Soto was
Right.
ranked 2, Robles 1. And, we'll talk about Bryce Harper here in a little bit. But I think for the Nats to save money, because they're right up against the salary cap, Robles has got one of those can't miss labels on him. So they may not push as hard as they might going after Harper with a $300
They
million
don't need to.
contract.
Yeah, I think that just
Yeah.
ties him up.
So, caller, I do have a question. I'm glad you called. I mean, J.D. Martinez, unarguably the best player in baseball this year. Okay.
Mookie, you don't think Mookie?
I don't know if it's unarguably.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Well,
say.
okay, I know
inarguably,
you're
I wouldn't
Mookie
say
fan,
that.
but JD stats. I mean, Mookie's great. JD's okay, but my
They've both
question,
been really
but my
great.
question
We'll put it
is
like
this, and not to get mixed up with the MVP, best and most valuable are two different things. Caller, my question to you, whether you give it to Mookie or Martinez, would Chris with a K Davis from Oakland garner any attention as the most valuable player this year?
yes, I mean, Chris, spelt with a K, Davis, is having a fantastic year. And look at Oakland. What are they? A game and a half behind Houston now, maybe 2 games.
Can you check?
I mean, they're amazing. So yeah, he's got to be a consideration. But in all honesty, I think Boston is a much bigger sport town, and I kind of feel right now, if I was picking, I would share the award with Mookie and JD, because you can sit down, you and I, for an hour. You pick one guy, I pick the other. We could have a very good conversation on. I could say one guy deserved it and you the other, and we would both have very good dialogue.
I agree, but let me ask you this: it begs the question: if Mookie and Martinez are that close in MVP, is there any chance their votes would cancel out type thing?
I
Where
think that helps
Chris
much.
Davis would be able to catapult.
I don't
over.
think
What
Chris
about
Davis-
Mr. Trout? Is Mr. Trout out of the?
I mean,
No,
Trout.
I agree. I think that helps
Yeah.
anybody
Yeah.
else. Yeah, I think that they may end up hurting each other a bit.
Nick, can you check? Seattle was in the bottom of the 10th, and Oakland 0-0 today. And
Really?
if Oakland wins this game today, I think that puts them 4.5 games above Seattle.
Great effort by
I mean,
Oakland.
and
Unreal
that's
effort
my other
by Oakland.
question, caller.
Mariners won 2-0.
Oh, poo-poo.
But Oakland's still ahead of them by 2.5.
2.5
I believe,
games.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, the Red Sox, again, we all know what's happened this year, but manager of the year, would you give it to Oakland? They're playing at a 600 clip
No.
right now.
I'd be tempted to give it to the Oakland manager.
And I'll tell you why. Okay.
Nobody
I'm going to ask
was
you a
talking.
question. Who has the highest payroll in baseball?
Red Sox.
Who
by
has the lowest
million.
payroll in baseball?
Is it Oakland?
It's Oakland.
Oh, I think the Oakland manager would be an absolutely worthy choice for that.
Yeah, and it's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
The guy may end up winning
Unfortunately,
150 games.
your coaches, folks with good teams, they probably don't
Yeah.
get the credit they
That's
deserve. but it's
that's
just kind of the way it
understandable,
is.
but I think you can argue that by saying, all right, Alex Cora is in his first
Alex
year,
has done
and he has
seemingly great
taken
job.
a team that was good last year, had one big addition, and has taken them to a team that might just break the all-time wins record.
Playing out of their minds.
Yeah, I think that it's got to be Cora. And when getting back to the MVP debate, I think it's got to be between Mookie and JD. And I know I'm saying this as a Red Sox fan, but the stats are there. Mookie's hitting 350, JD's hitting 333. Mike Trout is like barely over 300, and Chris Davis is like at 250. So I mean, these guys just it
yeah,
doesn't
I
make
mean,
sense.
and again, I agree with the stats on Mookie and Martinez.
Right.
However, valuable. Like if you take Davis off the team versus
Right.
that type
Right.
of thing.
But they could coincide to kind of
Okay, but
make trouble
but
for each other,
RBIs,
but I just-
JD Martinez has 104. I
Yep.
think Mookie's got like 67.
Mookie has
Mookie, of
63.
course,
Yeah.
the
63.
leadoff guy.
Right, he is leadoff.
Right.
But
And
Martinez,
let's not forget Mookie is a leadoff hitter
Right,
as
yep,
well.
right,
You
yeah.
know, if it was tonight and I had to pick one, I would give Mookie the edge, only because he is leadoff hitter. He's got 23 stolen bases, and he plays a magnificent outfield.
Yeah.
So that would be the only reason I did
Right.
give him the edge. But what J.D. Martinez does to that team, they all kind of look up at him. And what that team was lacking since Big Papi left was a team leader.
Yeah.
I think they
Yeah.
found it in J.D. Martinez. He's a real good study of baseball. He studies his pitchers.
Yeah.
Everyone, when a reliever comes in, he takes out his little computer and sees what this guy throws. You see the other players huddle around JD for information. So, again, here I am going with Mookie, but talking myself into JD Martinez.
Right.
So either
Yeah.
way, I guess what I'm saying, it's a good pick. And I, like Duke, we both said at the beginning of the season, well, we're ready to go without him. We don't really need him. But, I think Duke and I both can say now we really didn't know what we were getting in this guy.
Yeah,
And I mean,
totally
this guy
right.
is kind of surprised everybody.
now caller,
Yeah, agree totally.
I've been saying all year that JD's been grossly underpaid for this 5-year, $110 million contract.
you could say
so I
that.
pulled his contract details. It makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
For the first 3 years of the contract, and he'll be turning 31 next week, I think. This year and the next following 2 years, he'll get $23,750,000.
Yeah.
The last 2 years of his contract, he's down at $19,350,000.
That's a little more
But
than-
the most important thing is he has the opportunity to do
got
an
an opt-out,
opt-out
right?
after next season, and he'll have to pay the Sox $2.5 million, and then he has an opt-out 2020 at no money back to the Sox. So my question to you, and you guys know Martinez's personality better than mine, if he's happy with $110 million and doesn't feel like, well, I'm the best player in baseball now, I should be paid $30 million a year. Do you think he's happy enough?
A lot, though, goes to him as being on the Red Sox team. There's always opportunities for RBIs. You've got to pitch to every hitter. A couple times this year I watched most of the games. I don't care who they intentionally walk. The next guy makes them pay for it. Right from the top of the order to the bottom, the Red Sox will hurt you. And I think JD, as great of a player as he is surrounded the hitter before him
Yeah.
and after him protects him also.
Yeah.
So he can say, I'm the greatest hitter, and all of a sudden he goes to Minnesota, and it's like, geez, wait, I'm batting 260. I'm being walked 2 or 3 times a game. I'm not getting any pitches to hit out of the ballpark. So where you are in the lineup you're hitting in, like the Red Sox, line up the Yankees, Houston, that will add to your stats.
Yeah. You know, he may be the type of guy, if I'm averaging 22 million, say I should be getting 27.5, maybe he figures, I can live off 22 million a year.
But maybe
Yeah.
with his opt-out, I'm not sure. It might be a case. I mean, he's just been, and Bobby's right. I was saying, don't sign this guy. No, I didn't really know this guy, but I'm just embarrassed about the money. And he's been great year, and it sounds like a great guy. It sounds like he's very happy with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
With an opt-out, I wouldn't be stunned.
Yeah.
I mean, Red Sox
I don't
wouldn't do.
think he
they
wants
might.
to go any place. You see how happy he is.
Right.
But I would think the
he
Red
said he
Sox
was
You know, when
might
you're
extended
happy at your
Boston
job,
anyway.
it makes it makes the whole thing better. And even at 22 million, I don't think he's going to need government assistance at any point. So
You're right. But
Yeah.
I think I wonder if the Red Sox might think about just ripping up that contract, especially with an opt-out, and giving him some more bucks and getting the opt-out out of it. Who
I
knows?
think that this
yeah, but we
upcoming
have
offseason-
Mookie and Bogarts we've got to sign as
Oh, yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So we've got to pay attention to those guys. Both
Well-
of those guys definitely have to be signed. They're both 25 years old,
Yeah.
and I think those are our key two future players. So
Yeah.
That's a great
You know,
point.
Yeah.
we've got to keep one eye over the next ridge as well. So, and
Right.
again, I think JD will get by, and I think he'll be happy with the money he's getting.
Yeah, and I think that like contracts, the way we saw contracts kind of fall in value over the last
doesn't
offseason
talk to
could definitely
JD.
play in
Yeah,
it as
JD
well.
being, I guess, an
if-
example.
What if Bryce Harper goes out and only gets like 24, 25 million a year? How can at the same time, like JD Martinez, is he in position to go ask for 30?
And that's why I'm anxious for the off season.
Right, I think
because last
you have to have the
winter
off season before you
nobody
can answer
was
these
being
questions.
signed. Martinez didn't sign till March,
right,
and
late February, I think. It
or
was,
late,
yeah.
and I kept saying all summer, has Martinez dropped the art of what the top
Right.
tier player is going to get? So I think
he has.
one year
honestly,
may be
yeah.
an anomaly. Next year might turn into it's a pattern. And of course, you got Harper and Machado, two of the better players, and that will tell you the definitive story of what a free agent is really worth.
Yeah, and you look at Harper too. He has the same agent as JD Martinez and Scott Boras.
Oh, I didn't know Martinez had Boris
Yep.
as an agent.
And-
I don't think I knew that
I
either.
did not
That's
know.
why.
Really?
Well, that's why his contract
Okay,
went
well,
down.
let me
is 'cause
say this. That
they
you
would-
put a
they wanted
whole
to keep-
different spin
right.
on this conversation last
that
5
right?
minutes.
How
Because
did I
if
not know
Boris
that?
is
I'm pretty sure
Martinez,
that's the case.
Boris will tie him down and gag him and say, you're opting out after his second
Boy,
year.
that's the worst news I've heard in months.
Yeah,
now.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I
didn't know that.
But I think the MLB owners are kind of fed up with Scott Boras at
Yes,
the
they
same
are.
time. So and that's why JD Martinez didn't get a deal, because Scott Boras said 7 years, 30 million. We're taking no less than that. And the MLB owners kind of came together and said, yeah, you just wait a minute. And that was the case. And so with Harper having Boras as well, I think that could play into it. We might see Harper making 20 million max next year.
Because there are certain teams out there that won't deal with Scott Boris.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Wow, that's terrible news. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
How could I
well-
not know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's
the
why
Red
get the big
Sox
bucks.
won't be held hostage by Boris neither.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
If something happened, he wanted to opt out, we could, we wouldn't pick up another guy of his caliber, but we would, fill the spot and, keep playing baseball. It's, I know it's a business, but you can't be held hostage to Scott Boras neither.
Right.
Because I think last year, when the bar went down, when these people went out of work, when some of these players thought they were going to get 15 or 20 million, ended up with 8 million. Scott Boras is a smart man, and he's got to realize that, there's a new bar has been set.
Yeah.
And you want to hold out with all your people. It's going to be a long summer for you.
You know
so.
what occurred also? Eric Hosmer signed early with the Padres, and that was before the market was set. If he would have waited another month or so, he probably would have lost out probably $25 million. So, and another thing,
another thing, if Boris pulled J.D. Martinez, you said next year he has an opt-out?
After next season, yeah.
If, something like that came up, would we be interested in like a Bryce Harper or something? If we're going to pay big money, will we take a guy with superb defense,
Yeah.
I think the Red
that's
Sox
the
are going to be
question
more
we'd have to ask
concerned about.
ourselves, too, because J.D. in the field the other night, I watched him play. Love the guy to death. He's a great offensive guy, but he really should leave his glove at home,
Right.
Did he come up as a catcher, or am I just thinking of someone else?
No,
I
I
think
did.
so.
He was always an outfielder, I think.
Okay.
Didn't he come up through with Detroit?
No, he came up through with Houston, and then Houston sent him to Detroit because, he was a nobody in Houston, and then he became like a decent average, slightly above average player in Detroit. Then he went to Arizona, obviously, for last season, and he was really good in Arizona.
Oh, he got traded to Arizona, and he hit about 30 home runs in the second half of the season last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember now saying Martinez is not leaving Arizona.
Yeah.
So
And just noting
But I
Manny
think he'll
Machado's
be
agent
happy in
also is Scott
Boston.
Boras.
They'll take care of him.
yeah, if he's happy, he's a man. He can tell Boris, shut up. I'm happy here, and I'm just going to finish my career. Now, Steven Strasburg of the Nats did a rare thing. Boris is his agent.
Yeah.
He told Boris a couple years ago, May of 2 years ago, before he became a free agent. He's a San Diego kid, and I would have bet my life he wasn't going to stay with the Nats. He'd head back to California. But him and his wife like the D.C. area, and they had a press conference, unbeknownst to me that this was even happening, and that's when he signed what I called at the time a bargain deal of 7 years for $175 million, averaging out to $25 million a year. We all know Steven Strasburg is a very good pitcher, but we even know more so
healthy.
that he's a pretzel. He's so brittle, and he's missed most of this season, and he's getting $25 million for doing very little this year.
Well, at least you didn't sign Pablo Sandoval. That's what I have to
Okay,
say.
I'll let you guys go there, and next week maybe we'll have a little football there. A little more will be happening.
Okay,
so,
caller.
Good night. Have a great show, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for calling.
Yeah,
See ya.
and the Red Sox this year, it's just one of those magical years. Every button they push, it works.
Yeah.
And we talked about Chris Hill. Not a big deal, but again, it was a brilliant move by throwing him on the DL for 10 days. He only missed one start. They had a little plan for him, so he pitches just 5 innings the other day, gives up a total of 1 hit, and 12 strikes out 12 people in 5 innings.
That's 12 out of 15 outs.
Right,
only
absolutely.
3 other outs.
So they just eased him in. And the good thing is, today's 15th. How many days in August? 30?
16. September's got 30. 16
30?
more. 31.
31, okay.
September's got 30.
So in 16 days.
We're halfway through the month
Red
right at
Sox
this moment.
Or any other contending team with a comfortable lead, they can take a Chris Sale, sit him out to start, and not DL, because why? You have a 40-man roster, so he can go at the end of the...
And the Red Sox also have Eduardo Rodriguez getting ready to come back.
Looks like he's getting closer.
They also have Brian Johnson and...
What about Mr. Wright? Is he...
Stephen Wright's coming back a little bit later than Rodriguez, but you got Brian Johnson, you got Drew Pomeranz. The Red Sox have like 6 or 7 starting pitchers that they could throw into a game and give these guys a start to rest their top 3 guys.
Right. And very simply, too, they could go to a 6-man rotation.
Right, and that's what I think they should do. I think that they
not
really
a bad
should do
idea.
that because you look at Porcello and Price and Chris Sale. None of these guys have a history of being solid pitchers in October. So the Red Sox are. If I'm Alex Cora here, I'm saying, all right, we've got to kind of maybe if it's giving these guys 5 or 6 or 7 days rest instead of 5. you gotta give these guys a little bit more rest. Make sure they're at their top performance by the time
Yeah.
October.
Now,
comes
of
around.
course, when you get to October, the playoffs, a lot of days off. It's only a 4-man rotation.
Right.
At that
I don't
point.
even know if the Red Sox will use 4 pitchers to start with. I can't see them unless it's like a situation where they run the bullpen pretty much the entire game. I can't see Nate Eovaldi getting a start
Yeah, I agree.
in any series in any game after the American League or anything
And that's
after
the luxury
ALDS.
by winning
Right.
does. The Red Sox can set up their pitching lineup any way they want to.
Hawk,
And-
my question for you is, what's the bigger story? Your Nats, and again, I think you're going to concede, throwing in the towel on
concede,
it tonight.
yeah.
But what's the bigger story? The Nats, after winning the division by 20 games last
20
year?
games last year.
Out of it this year, seemingly. Or the Red Sox being, 51 games over?
No,
What's the bigger
The Red
story?
Sox are historic. I mean, if the Red Sox won 100 games, it would be, wow, what a great season. But even if I don't think they'll get 115, but even if they get 110, that's still a heck of a
Right.
year. I think that's a big story. You digest into the Nats, and I know people don't like to hear me. They've had a lot of injury issues this
And they
year.
have, yeah.
And they lost their closer, Sean
We got
Doolittle.
a call.
Oh, okay. Let's grab a call. Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello? Hello?
How you doing?
Graham,
Hello? Is this Jackson?
yeah,
Hi, Jackson.
Hey, Jackson.
That's that kid right there.
I'm my favorite sport.
What's that, buddy?
I want to tell you about my favorite sport.
Okay, your favorite sport? We're listening. What's your favorite sport?
Hockey.
Wow, hockey guy. Hey, Jackson, you wouldn't be a Montreal Canadiens fan, would
Oh,
you?
come on, Richard.
No, he likes.
Is he a Bruins guy?
No, he's 5 years old. He goes down the UVM hockey games with me,
Right.
Yeah.
and I drive his parents nuts because I smuggle in my diet Mountain Dew. So he likes his Mountain Dew. He likes,
No, we don't do.
and I always make him say, "You want it?" Yahoo! Mountain Dew. And he always has the giant pretzel and the big cookie.
Yeah.
So, and he likes Rally Cat. So I'm training him well right now.
All right.
So, hey, Jackson, we're only about a month and a half away from the start of the first UVM hockey game.
I'm excited.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Yep. And I had fun with you today. Did you have fun today?
Yeah,
What'd you do today?
I jumped in the bouncy house.
That's right. I took him to that bouncy house.
Oh, at the
play
Fun Center?
at Highgate
In
Commons.
fact, I walked right by that today.
Yeah. So he did the bouncy house and he did a bunch of arcade type
Cool.
games. Then we went to McDonald's after. So, but this kid, I'm telling you, Jackson is going to be a star. So, okay. Well, thanks for calling, Jackson.
Yay. Have a good night.
Okay, buddy.
See you, Jackson. Great
Bye-bye.
call, buddy. See ya.
Yeah.
All right,
Bye.
Mr. Jackson
Bye.
checking in. Impressive.
Nick has met him. He was a little bit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't think I've ever met Jackson, I'm sad to say. Have I?
You know, and I don't want to sit here as a boastful grandfather. But,
okay.
But his father, of course, coached
Yeah.
Nick. He's the head coach at Missisquoi Baseball. The kid's got unbelievable hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
And he's always playing some sport.
Yeah.
And Roy actually was a pitcher in college for New England College.
Yeah.
That's where my daughter met him at college. And when I found out that he played baseball, it's like, really? Young people don't like baseball, so you're dating a baseball player? That's good. So,
So, Hawk, my question, so the Red Sox
the
are
Red
the
Sox are big.
bigger story?
No, the Nats, it's just a lot of injuries, and they've got a lot of free agents. It's going to be a big winter for them ahead. Now, I mentioned you on the golf course, and it's worth repeating. People have been on Bryce Harper all season. He was hitting in the two teens.
Yeah.
He's at 236 today. But Nick, he's got 30 home runs.
Yeah.
Only second in the league to, who is it? And he's tied with Nolan Arenado.
Yeah.
who's is it Javi Baez? That's
It might be.
Don't
yeah.
turn that channel. I've got that information here. Matt Carpenter. How could I forget?
Okay, yeah,
Matt
yeah.
Carpenter from
Yeah,
St.
he's had
Louis.
a great season.
But as Harper hurt himself with a 236 average, yeah. But as Duke said, if he can get up to 250, that will look.
And again, he
Yeah.
won. He gets his on base percentages.
Yeah, he probably
very
leads
high.
the league in on base percentage.
Yeah, he does have 91 walks.
So
Wow.
so if you're going to ask me,
91 walks, 96 hits. That's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
oh, he's got more than 96 hits
No, it's saying 96 hits.
96 hits?
Yeah.
after
How many-
120 games.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, if his batting average was about 200, that's
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, how's Manny
Huh.
Machado doing for the Dodgers since that trade?
I'm not
I haven't
sure.
really
I saw
followed
that
it.
I haven't followed it a whole lot either. I did see that he's hit a couple of home runs with him, but I don't think that he's even in Los Angeles to be the big star there. I think that he's there to be like, all right, we're gonna have like 5 or 6 equal players who are just gonna put this together and give us a good shot at going to the World Series, and trying to win the World Series, obviously after what happened last year. So I don't think that they're expecting a whole lot out of him. Like, he's still only hitting 258 this year, so
Okay.
he hasn't been all that. He hasn't been super special, but I mean, he's one of those guys that's definitely going to help the Dodgers and
Yeah.
trying to get.
And
to the
I
World
certainly don't want to forget the Yankees. I know they're 10 games out. However, they're playing at a 630 clip. That equates out to 102 victories. That's
Yeah.
a pretty darn good season.
that's a good season, but they got to have a ton of concern about the guy who seemed to be easily their best pitcher for
Right.
Severino is
Severino's.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
he's
especially
been
now that
horrible.
they're
Since the
more than
All-Star
likely
break,
going
he's been lousy.
No.
And they're going to have to, like, what are they going to do with this wild card game? I mean, do you pitch Severino or do you go?
Well, I'm not even sure they'd pitch him now.
Right. It's one of those things where the Yankees, their starting pitching has gotten so bad, and this is why I said at the trade deadline, if guys like Chris Archer are going to get moved, they've got to make that move and get that pitcher, because even though it's going to come at a heightened price because it's a division rival, they need to make that move because their starting pitching is what's going to kill them this year.
However, it must be said that their 2 pickups of Lance Lynn and J.A.
They've been
Happ
good, yeah.
have been terrific. Lynn is.
But are you going to start one of those guys in the wild card
Well,
game?
all I would say, and that's 7 weeks away, is whoever the hottest guy is. But
Right.
Lance Lynn, granted, is 16 innings, has got a .54 ERA with a .96 WHIP. J.A. Happ has got 3 starts, 3 wins, 1.89 ERA with a .74 WHIP. So those little moves they made were good. And in fact, I know Chris Archer was kind of a hot name out there, and he went to the Pirates. He really hasn't pitched that well for the Buccos. But I think Oakland, if it's possible, arguably could be a bigger story than the Red Sox. I mean, again, you're looking at the North Pole and the South Pole here. The Red Sox, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Duke, their payroll is $235 million.
237 maybe.
237.
Yeah, something like that.
And Oakland is barely over $80 million. So when you're facing a team that has triple the amount payroll, that says a lot. Now, the manager of the A's, is it Melvin? I'm trying to remember who the...
Yeah, Bob Melvin.
Bob Melvin.
Yep.
I mean, and
Great job.
and they're
he's
they're
always been a
playing
good
right at
manager.
600 baseball. It's incredible because
I agree.
I told you guys a couple months ago, yawn, you bore me about the American League because nothing's going to change. Seattle and the Yankees
Stuff's
will be there.
changing.
Well, Oakland has got it. And my other prediction too, where I was wrong, Oakland or Red Sox were playing great, and I said, well, they'll have a great season, but I think when all said and done, the Houston Astros will have the best record in the league. But the Red Sox have not taken
the Red Sox have surprised
foot-
me even.
haven't taken the foot off the pedal.
Right.
And the only question I have
You
for
don't,
them,
you don't assume, given that that's certainly the case, you don't assume that guarantees postseason success, I assume, do you? I'm of course, the last person to assume that.
Well,
Normally,
hey,
they're
you
being
look at
set
those
up.
best teams
I mean,
too.
is this going to be
only
end up
one
a
of them.
hard?
Okay.
Say the Red Sox fade postseason after this magical year. Or, is that, are they just,
Okay.
are they just building up pressure? Hey, Red Sox, you've had an incredible
Yeah,
year.
it's a good
you
point.
better
They
not
definitely
screw
are.
up
It's a fair
postseason.
question, but as I've been saying all summer, the best 5 teams in the American League, the Yankees are great season. You've got
Yeah.
the defending champs, Astros, as
Great
good as the
team.
Red Sox pitching has been. I'll take Houston starters over Boston
Yeah.
starters. Cleveland can rise to the occasion.
Very good team.
Chris Sale at this point gets the Cy Young. Runner-up would be Corey Kluber.
Yeah. Yep.
Last year, Corey Kluber won. Runner-up was
Overtook
Chris
Sale when Sale
exactly.
faded in the second half.
Exactly. So Cleveland's is a viable pick for an upset.
But Red Sox, is this kind of some pressure? Hey,
I
you've
think
had
it
this
is because
incredible year.
you look at-
So Red Sox, you're playing this great. Obviously, you got to keep going postseason and say that doesn't happen.
Right.
Which is
Listen,
certainly
I will
possible.
not disrespect the Red Sox. If they lose to like Oakland, I'll probably diss them. If they lose to Houston, I'll keep my mouth shut. They lose to the Yankees, I'll keep my mouth shut. Again, the Yankees
I don't know
could be
about
a
that.
triple digit.
You look at the Red Sox expectations coming into the year. All right, they're probably going to be the 3rd best team in the American League, is what people were saying.
And certainly a
At that
postseason
point,
team.
In
In fact, for the
definitely
record,
a postseason team.
I've been talking all season
Right.
about Yankees. I think the Yankees will beat them.
But you look at this, I think at the beginning of the season, that's the way I think is the Red Sox, if they don't win the World Series or even make the World Series, I'm okay with that. As long as they have a good year, make the playoffs, get a good start for Alex Cora. But now I think that's a completely different conversation because
tougher to have.
they're 10 games up on the Yankees. They're winning constantly.
Yeah.
Mookie and JD Martinez are arguably the 2 best players
Right.
in baseball right now. I think if you
Chris
don't win
Sale-
the World Series,
Chris
it's kind of
Sale,
a
arguably the
disappointment.
And
best.
here's the other issue too. To your point, is there's 7-11 clips, 115 wins. You already said 116 wins is the all-time record. Well, if they win 116 games, I guess the expectations would be you have the best record in the 150 years of baseball.
Well,
do something.
Go
with
back
it.
to the 2001 Seattle Mariners. 106, the last team to get 116 wins.
Were they 116 or 113?
They were
116.
Yep.
Okay.
Them and the 1906 Cubs are the 2 teams
okay.
to do that. You look at that team. That team's not remembered as a great team. You look when people think of that team, they're like, that team won 116 games and didn't even make the World Series.
Well, I'm going to try
They're
to
thought
remember.
of as a joke.
I'm pretty sure Ichiro won the MVP, but Jade Buhner, I think, might have been on that team,
Yeah.
a big slugger.
Yeah.
But that's a good point. I can't, off the tip of my tongue, name the players from the
As a
2001.
baseball team, if you go out and win 116 games in a 162 game season and you don't win the World Series, I think the postseason at least is considered an embarrassment for
Okay.
you, a complete failure.
But
And I feel bad about it. And I'm running into some of the Boston folks who are addressing that issue. Dave O'Brien, the TV,
Yeah.
played by a very solid guy.
yeah, for sure.
He said the other day, "Hey folks, enjoy the ride. Don't even talk postseason to me.
Yeah.
You've had
Right.
a magical year. Enjoy it for every moment, and don't even think postseason." But it's hard to kind of.
yeah.
Right,
But
it's-
Nick, and I will give you the Yankees. If you lose to the Yankees, disappointment, regardless of the record, it's the Yankees, Red Sox. You have to beat the Yankees.
Right.
But you cannot dismiss the defending World Series champs, the Houston Astros. They have a vaulted,
Yeah.
good word by the way, vaulted starting pitching staff. I wouldn't bet a nickel
Right.
on that series.
Yeah,
either
me
way.
neither. But I think at the same time, while that series is a toss-up, once again, the Red Sox don't win that, the season's a failure because you won so many games in the regular season and then just couldn't back it up in the postseason.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a good spot. It's a frustrating spot to be in because should the season be considered a failure? No, of course not. It was a great year, but that's how it would go down as because you just look at the Mariners and that's how it is.
For a lot of people.
Right. It's
I'd like to think not me, but for a lot of people,
Right.
and
It's
there were.
right now for the Red Sox. It's World Series or bust, and there's no other option for
But
a
you know,
lot of people,
Duke,
especially
I
in the Boston market.
Brought the point up in the Eastern Conference in the NHL. You've got a real hardcore, tough teams. The Bruins had an unbelievable season. Lost the last game of the regular season that put them
Costly,
from first
very
to second.
costly loss.
And they ended up playing Toronto
Yep.
in
then
the
Tampa
first
after
round.
that.
Well, they took them to the 7th game,
Yeah.
which hockey wears you out. Period. And they went play Tampa. which was the team ahead of them
Yep.
by one measly point.
Yeah.
Tampa won the series.
Yep.
I really didn't, being a Canadians fan, I would like to diss on the Bruins, but I don't see that as a failure
And well-
of the season for the Bruins, because the Bruins literally had the best record in hockey
Well-
from November 1st.
Although there was a
on.
little bit
I
of
think
that.
the Bruins.
Yeah, I think,
I
most
think the
people-
Bruins were more of a surprise to people than anything else. The people expected Red Sox to be good this year. Not as many people. There were
Right.
people at the in last October that said the Bruins aren't even going to make the playoffs, and for them to go out,
Yeah, there were
everybody, I
no-
think
there were
people
no
were-
lock
And if I'm not
Right.
mistaken, the Bruins missed out in the playoffs the two previous
Yes.
seasons.
By one,
Yeah.
I think by like 1 or
And
2
I
points
Right.
each
think
season.
one of the years they had 96 points, which was the all-time NHL
Right,
record
and they
for
missed
most
the
points
playoffs.
in the
Yeah.
season
Not getting into the
for not
playoffs.
making the playoffs.
And but to stay
Again,
with
Nick,
hockey,
you're hot tonight. Another valid point. Knock the
But-
Nighthawk down.
But to stay with hockey on this same topic, look at the Washington Capitals for the last 10 years before this year. President's Trophy, how many times?
Right.
Top of the league, top of the Eastern Conference. They never even made it to
Well,
the Stanley Cup Finals. They were the laughing stock of the
Nick,
NHL.
you should have your
Hmm.
own show. You're making great points. The President's Trophy, which nobody knows about, that's the trophy the team gets for having the best regular season record, most points. And I can't tell you the last time that a President Trophy winner has actually won the Stanley Cup.
I think it was the Rangers
Back in
in
86.
93, 94.
Oh, he's
Oh,
pounding.
please,
No, the Rangers, was it,
It was
94 with
the
Mark
last time.
Messier?
Yeah, the last time
Was
the
it
Rangers
94?
won the cup. It was the year after Montreal.
Yeah, Montreal won in
Yeah.
93.
And
Okay,
that was
so-
the last time the President's Trophy winner won
Okay,
the
right.
cup.
So how many years? That's 24 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to my point.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you the question, how important is that 116 wins to the Red Sox? We talked earlier, you've got a great opportunity here to rest players.
Right. And that's what I think they
But
should do.
do the players sit around having a Budweiser after the game saying, geez, I would really like to
Well-
make a statement for my grandkids that we had the most victories in the history of Major League Baseball.
I think a World Series makes a better
Oh, I
statement
know
to
it
your
does. It does.
grandkids than the most wins in baseball and then flopping in the ALDS.
Right.
But I think that the Red Sox they can afford to go rest guys. That's the beauty of it. They don't. If this team wins 105 games, still gets that number 1 seed, and goes from there, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay even if the Red Sox don't get first place in the American League, because you know what happens then? That means that you can't play the Yankees until the American League Championship Series. You play
and
Cleveland
that's
in the first
what we're
round.
expecting. We'll throw our good friends Oakland in for the wild card,
Right.
playing the Yankees. We're going to assume the Yankees
Right.
win.
The-
While the Red Sox and Yankees first round.
In all likelihood, it's
if
gonna
the
be Red
Red
Sox,
Sox
Yankees
make
in
it
the
to the
first
World
round.
Series. They've earned it. They'll have
Oh,
to
yeah.
beat the
For sure.
Yankees
Yeah.
and beat the Astros, and whoever makes it out of the National League will be a good team.
Yeah.
I'm just going to feel, boy, if they don't make it too far, I mean, after this season, I'm just going to feel bad because there will be a bunch of people,
Right.
as you said, saying,
Right.
hey, they didn't get the
It's-
job done in the end.
it's
so
not fair
who
for
cares
them,
what they
but
did
I mean-
on the way, which is
Right.
ridiculous to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, that's an
I was
unfortunate
running into that with Duke
take,
for a
but
lot
it's
of
just
years.
what's going to happen.
And
Yeah.
Coach K had been at the Final Four a bunch of
Right.
times, but Monkey was still on his back. And I'm feeling, hey, it's a good team. Remember Leonard when UNLV killed him in, 1990?
Yep.
Killed him, embarrassed him. Leonard saying, Duke, Richard, I feel bad for you. Well, they did make it to the finals. That ought to be worth something.
Yeah.
Right.
The next year is when they finally got the monkey.
But the
off
funny
their
thing
back.
about the Red Sox, they literally could lose 20 more games next year, still be a 95-game winner.
Yeah.
And you tell me in February that your team's going to win 95 games, you're going to say, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
This is a recent Sports Illustrated, which I'm just
It's
now
on my
opening
office
them up.
floor. I usually read them 3 weeks
But
late.
a nice story on J.D. Martinez in here. I just scanned it. I didn't see one reference to Burroughs.
Yeah.
But again, the headline on the front page, nice picture of him probably hitting a homer at Fenway. Do the world champion Astros have any regrets? Yes. Giving up on Red Sox slugger J.D. Martinez, who after retooling his swing in 2014 has made believers throughout baseball. Not a reference to, it just ends with him saying, I'm underappreciated. Just the end of this.
Yeah.
The The Astros were not the only team to undervalue Martinez. He was a free agent last winter, the top talent on the market after hitting .303, 45 homers, but he lingered without a buyer until late February, when the Red Sox signed into a 5-year, $110 million contract, much less than he felt he was worth. Quoting him, "I guess I don't have the flashy talent other guys have," he says. "I'm not Mike Trout or Bryce Harper or Mookie Betts. I'm not going to blow you off the field, but in the box, I know what I'm doing."
Yeah.
Last sentence, last ground. And so J.D. Martinez's motivation now is to demonstrate that underestimating him was not just the greatest mistake made by one team, the Astros, it was also the greatest mistake made by 29 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted the opt-out thing will be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, again, you shed a whole new light. So, you will get the first star of tonight's show.
Yeah,
you know that,
absolutely.
don't you?
Premier
And
12.
I just want to finish up baseball with my Washington Nets. So we had won like 13 out of 19 games, playing a real nice pace.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. Wouldn't pull out my wallet, make a huge bet. Feeling good. So we've got, unfortunately, the Sunday night baseball game on ESPN. Those announcers drive me nuts. So we're watching the game.
I don't like Alex Rodriguez. I think
and the gal drives me nuts.
I think
too.
Vasgersian's a good play-by-play guy.
He's
Are there,
very
out
good.
of curiosity, Ak, are there any women sportscasters who you're impressed
I do.
with?
I do.
Yeah?
The New York Yankees.
Yeah,
Oh, Susan
the color,
Wallman.
Susan
the color,
Wallman
color lady for them.
is solid. She is.
I just never watched Sunday Night Baseball.
Yeah. So we're up 1-0. Okay, going into the ninth inning. Max Scherzer does his typical 7 innings, 12 strikeouts,
Yeah.
4 hits. Blah. He did his job. Problem with the strikeout pitcher, though, you tend to throw a lot of pitches.
Yeah.
So
Here
he's
comes
out.
this guy I've never heard of coming to play.
And our bullpen's all injured up.
Yeah.
Kid comes in, pitches Coda Glover, guy you never heard of, pitched the 8th inning. So we have 37-year-old Ryan Matson ready for the 9th inning. So we're up 1-0, feeling really good about the season. We scored 2, top of the 9th inning at Wrigley
Yeah.
to go up 3-0. I said, there's a team that just made a statement.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ryan Matson comes in, hits a couple guys, literally hits them with
Yeah.
walk, a hit, blah, 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 gives up a walk-off grand slam.
Unreal.
And right then, I knew the season was done.
That was it.
And the following night, they traveled to St. Louis, and they're up in that game.
Yeah.
Then the bullpen gives up a ton of runs. They're down 6-4 in the 9th inning. They score 2 runs in the 9th. They actually had a runner at third base with 1 out.
Yeah.
Wilmer Defoe grounds out, doesn't get that run in, which frustrates me. So the aforementioned Coda Glover comes in the 10th, gives up a walk-off home run, and I said, that's it. We're 8 games behind, which you'd have to win about 90% of your games.
Right.
So,
Right.
and Atlanta's playing great. Philadelphia continues to play great. So the season's over, and yes, I will continue to watch the game. And I don't mind being a 500 team. If I could tell you in February, Nick, this is the makeup of our team. If we have a good year, we'll be a 500 team. Okay, I was expecting minimum 95 wins this year.
Yeah.
The Mets, to me, were going to be the contending team with Matt Harvey, who's now with the Reds, Jacob deGrom, who's has a ERA of 1.81.
Yeah.
I think he's got a 6-6 record because
Yeah.
the Mets are
Yeah.
so bad.
Right.
Uh,
Did you also think
the
the
Muddy
Marlins
Thor.
were going to be good this year?
Oh, I think the Marlins have had a nice season. I wholeheartedly agree with what Derek Jeter
Yeah.
has done because they can lose 90 games with Giancarlo Stanton, or they can lose 90 games
Right.
without him, and
They're
not
going
pay him,
to lose 90 games, so.
and not pay him $32 million.
Yep.
So my season is officially over.
Yeah. The National League East has just been so crazy this year. The Phillies have all this young talent on the Phillies. I love. I'm so happy that the Phillies in Boston have been playing a lot the last couple of weeks because I love watching this Phillies team.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Good
good young
team.
talent on it.
Yeah,
And
and up and
Braves
coming.
too, yeah.
And that is the only place, guys, that I've heard a possibility Harper going to Philly because
Yeah.
Philadelphia's
Yeah.
because they're at the verge and they're managing the team the way they should.
Mm-hmm.
Is all the young players are finally there, just like Atlanta, carbon copy. Okay, now we plug in the holes.
Yep.
Our minor league system's done the job, so
Yeah.
you'll expect Atlanta to spend some money. So, now as the window on the Nats closed, might very well have closed.
Probably,
And
yeah.
they've won the division last 4 to
Right.
6 years
Without one
without
postseason,
one
without
post,
one playoff victory.
without with a
Same thing with
postseason.
it, and that goes back to my other point. Nationals so good in the regular season, but they just couldn't get it done in the playoffs.
They have the most
is-
victories in Major League Baseball, only second to the Dodgers
Yeah.
since 2012.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is
they're
that-
just,
is
but
that
yeah,
right?
yeah. And I've got nothing to show for it. Listen, there's very few things in life I want. Okay, the New York Giants have won 4 Super
I know
Bowls
you'd
during
love,
my
I know you'd
lifetime.
love a hole-in-one.
The Montreal Canadiens have won a ton of Stanley Cups during my tenure.
Only one in the last 25
Celtics have
years,
won
though.
a ton during my tenure.
Yeah.
Okay, whether I choose to wear a Nats T-shirt or my casket, but I would like to have World Series champs like 2018 Washington Nationals. I
So
may.
that'd be your biggest thing.
I would like to have a T-shirt. I mean, I've got giant T-shirts, World Super Bowl champs, and of course, the hole-in-one
Yeah.
would be nice.
I
get.
hope
I think
you get
it'll
one.
happen.
So-
I think it's not like the Nationals are completely
Yeah.
done for.
Yeah. So I'm
got some
excited
good
for
talent.
basketball season. We've got a lot to talk about, but I want to ask real quick without thinking. You only can have one player on your team. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Who?
Jason Tatum.
Really? Okay. Why?
I think Jason Tatum's going to be
Don't you think
a
most
top 5
people would
player.
say
I
Jason
think
Tatum?
Jason Tatum's going to be a top 5 player in the NBA within like
Wow,
3
okay.
or 4 years. Yeah.
No
Okay.
offense to Jalen Brown, I think
Oh,
a
Jalen Brown.
vast
I love
majority of
Jalen
people
Brown,
would
yeah.
say Jason Tatum.
But Jason Tatum, I
Not
mean,
to beat up on
for
Jalen
him,
Brown.
he's. I think he's better than Jalen Brown was. I know he was better this year than Jalen Brown was this year, and he's a year behind Jalen
Yeah.
Brown. So I can
Yeah.
only imagine what he's going to be like next year.
Yeah,
so.
and what impressed me about Tatum is he actually learned how to play a little bit of defense.
Yeah.
Which Kyrie didn't really do,
Yeah.
and which is and I'll hold my basketball talk for a couple months. But again, like you, I'm so excited for basketball season.
Well, yeah,
To
I
start
think
off.
that's why Kyrie's probably going to end up leaving Boston too, is because Jason Tatum's going to be the face of that team.
In fact, I heard today, you get percentages for what's the likelihood of, anything happening. This is Vegas who does this, but I heard just coming over, maybe Kyrie Irving, whoever does this stuff, had Kyrie giving almost a 50% chance of ending up in New York.
Yeah.
You're
I
right.
just mentioned quickly, Lake Monsters.
Who?
They've been on the road playing decent season,
They're
about a
Staten
500
Island tonight, I
season.
believe.
Staten Island Friday night and
Or,
fireworks
yeah.
Saturday night. They're there Sunday, and the last hot dog, 25. Without tennis, I'd be talking Monday.
They've got a
The last hot dog day is Monday night, but they've got a 6-game homestand
Yeah.
coming up again, starting Friday night through next Wednesday, including Hot Dog Heaven #3 Monday night.
and Nighthawk, just because I know that you're into the promotions there. Friday
We got to
night.
make it. I hope we make it. I bet.
Friday night is bucket hat night. And
Wait, time out. I don't know what a bucket hat is.
oh, it's like one of
as
those.
opposed to a baseball cap,
Yeah,
especially
it's
if you
like-
have.
Oh, is that
sunny,
like
you
a
know.
fishing
Yeah,
type
yeah,
hat?
yeah.
Okay,
And
I
then
have a
covering
New
your
York
ears.
Giants bucket hat.
Okay.
I didn't know what it was
And
called.
then
Nick's
on
on top of
Saturday,
this.
and then on Saturday they're giving away like a cream colored Lake Monsters jersey.
Nick is
Okay.
on top of this.
Yeah.
Okay, now
We're
you
gonna
and I
try
were
to make it down for one.
you
of
and
those,
I were
but
at the
we'll see.
same ball game, second game of the season this year with
Yeah.
your little brother. Have you been back to a game since?
I haven't been back since, and I tried to go to one game one day before I went into work at 101.3, and I showed up, and I guess it was like Campers Day or something.
Yeah.
So there's just kids everywhere, school buses everywhere. I show up, and they're like, "Yeah, there's nowhere to park." So and they were like, "You can go to Gutterson if you want and
take
take
the shuttle."
But I was like, "Well, I can only stay for part of the game
Yeah.
because
Well, I'll tell you what.
didn't
the
go.
beginning of the show, about the beginning of every show we've done this summer, I've been constantly complaining about the weather. So I'm thinking
Beautiful
right
baseball
now,
weather.
Centennial might be the last place I want to say. Listen, I like to sit on my front lawn, watch traffic go by with a beverage, and listen to some classic rock music when music was music from the 60s, early 70s, okay? I bet I've done that twice this year. I remember I tried it about a month ago.
Yeah.
I probably made it through one song, and I was like, there's no oxygen out here. So I don't know if I would be enjoying myself sitting at
Well, I've
Centennial
seen you
right
out.
now.
I've seen you out in your lawn chair a couple of times this year driving by.
Hawk, I think we should go, but the question is, I think our best bet's going to be a Sunday. Can I talk us out of golf on a Sunday, or is that something you wouldn't consider? 5:05 start.
We could
can
talk.
Can you play earlier?
Yeah.
I want to
golfing
be there. I
earlier
like
in
to
the
park
day.
inside. I want to be there like no later than 4:15.
Right.
Right.
Let's get a
Not
parking
this
spot.
Sunday, but one of the next two. They're home for August 26th and September
Yeah.
2. Season ends Labor Day.
Yeah.
They've got an afternoon game on Labor Day. 1:05 last game of the season.
Guess what I'm thinking about doing on Monday, August 27th?
that?
Something close by I've never done in my life.
Lake Monsters are home that
No.
night too.
Ausable Chasm.
Oh, really?
I've done that once on a school trip from SATAC. God, great
I've
place.
never done that. and-
Jackson going to go along for
No,
this ride?
my buddy Mike is.
Oh, is that
we
right?
talked about. I guess to
That'd be
do
good.
the river raft, you
Probably
have to
don't wanna
walk a
take
mile
Jackson.
to
Oh,
get
really?
to it.
Jeez.
But
Yeah, that's a good scheme.
yeah.
No, that's a pretty
And the
cool
other
place.
thing I said I was going to do this summer, and I won't do it this summer, but I'll do it this fall because I don't mind walking around for golf, but every year I say I'm going to the Shelburne Museum. I've been there once in my life, Nick, 1972,
Yeah.
and ever since I said I'm going this year. I'm going this year.
Oh,
I've had a
Jeez.
higher profile there in recent years.
So
I get
I think
there.
in
No,
September,
it's a great place.
when it cools down.
It's not a huge hit.
I
I
don't
mean,
think-
Vermont resident, I think it's no more than about $10 or so.
Right.
yeah,
I
you know,
haven't
money,
been.
I
Very
don't care.
cool. Great place.
But
I
place.
think I went once a year, every year that I was in elementary school,
So
right up through middle
Is that
school.
on field field trips? and
Field
stuff?
trips. Just about every year we went. So I've seen that place.
Hawk, you should
so many
do it.
times.
It's pretty. Like,
It's
I've
not bad,
neglected
yeah.
it myself.
It's about
good
15
It's a
place.
good day
minutes
trip.
left,
for
14.
sure.
Got to talk some golf. at
yeah,
some
that's
point.
exactly. Okay, here's a guy I thought I would be seeing a lot of love this week, and I ain't seeing it. Brooks
Koepka.
Koepka.
Yeah.
Okay,
Fair
a
play.
real gentleman, not mouthy, just a solid guy. He's kind of like a JD Martinez.
Right.
of
All the
golf.
guy
JD
all the
Martinez
guy
of
does
golf.
is win major
Right.
golf
Yeah.
tournaments.
You know, he's won 3 majors now.
Out
2
of four U.S. Victories, 3 of which have been majors.
Majors,
He's won
right.
over in Europe, I think.
Right.
Too.
Now, didn't an announcer screw up? He was going to the scorer table, and they said, like, oh, here comes his girlfriend, like Jane Doe. And the other announcer goes, that's not Jane Doe. He has a different girlfriend now, like Susie Smith.
Oh,
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they
Nothing
said
I
that
picked
live
up
on the air. But
But I
Well,
think that's a
Duke-
fair question. Is he getting the love? I'm even hearing some people on sports talk radio saying, hey, he's not good for business. He's sorry, he's a decent guy. He's a
Right.
hell of a golfer. And but because he's not flashy and stuff, he's bad. Hey, too bad, folks.
well,
The
that
Tiger just kicked
little
up the ratings
paragraph
unbelievably.
you read about JD Martinez talking
Yeah.
about a guy that knows himself. I'm not a Bryce Harper. I'm not the other two guys.
He is
you
what he
said.
is. He sounds like a great guy who's
But-
a heck of a golfer. So
Right.
take
Right.
take him for what he is.
So the Ryder Cup, and Duke may be away.
I may change my away weekend.
Are you going
we'll
out of
see.
country? I can't
Oh,
remember.
no, just Quimby, a place near my camp.
Okay.
Quimby, a great.
So
a
the
great
Ryder Cup
place.
is, and I didn't know where it was till I checked today.
France.
September 28th through the 30th in France.
Yeah, I think outside Paris in France
Now,
somewhere.
the first question is, will Tiger be the captain's pick
Oh,
for
it
this?
sure looks like he's going there.
Yeah, and of course I've complained to you a zillion times, so bear with me. So I'm great PGA. So I'm watching Sports Center 90 minutes Sunday night. They get to PGA.
When you didn't know who won at that point, or did you forget?
I think I knew at that point, but I want to see the highlight.
Yeah.
But the first 20 minutes, all Tiger.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know who had won, you wouldn't know who.
And this is
would have won.
ESPN.
Yeah,
You're talking.
it's always Tiger.
You should. Why,
Well, I
why
mean-
didn't you go to the Golf Channel? Because they're a lot fairer about that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
yeah. ESPN. I mean, they're gonna be. If I'm watching golf, it's because of Tiger, simply because of the
You have
impact.
a lot of company.
He's the guy. Like for my generation, he's the guy that is really the only name that you're like, oh, okay, I know that guy. Like I know
Mickelson,
right.
Phil doesn't do
Phil
much for
Mickelson's
you.
there, but like, and I do know the other names, but like if I see, for example, that Adam Scott is winning a tournament, I'm like, okay, cool. Who
Yeah,
cares?
right, yeah,
But
yeah.
if I see Tiger Woods is close to winning a tournament, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch
Yeah,
this.
and unfortunately for golf, that is the case.
Yeah,
for
they
Right.
got plenty
And
of
so
companies out there.
ESPN's just
And I get what
covering
you
what
just
people
said
care
about
about,
Brooks
unfortunately,
may be
but-
bad for golf just because of his squeaky clean demeanor and all that. But gee whiz, I mean, throw the guy some love and respect. I
Yeah,
mean,
I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
one of only 5 golfers now to have won back-to-back U.S. Open and PGA, or
Yeah.
U.S. Open and PGAs in the same year.
yeah,
No, this guy's tough.
yeah.
But the rating, CBS, went crazy with.
I didn't catch.
And again, I think I maybe mention this every week. I'll acknowledge, in fact, I just noted some of my great predictions right here, 3 in front of me. Yanks better than the Red Sox, good Duke. Don't sign J.D. Ramirez. No offense to J.D.,
Martinez,
but I'm
yeah.
embarrassed by you spending the money, and Tiger will never play great golf again. So Tiger's blowing my mind. I absolutely never thought he would get back to this level.
But I'll tell you what. Granted, he played great last week, but he still, to me, has to win a golf tournament before I will say.
Well, he
he's
gave it
back.
a pretty good. I mean,
Oh, he
came
did.
came in second.
He-
Gave it a pretty. What
right.
about the front 9? He didn't hit one fairway, and he's 3 under on the front 9.
Yeah.
I didn't actually see him that much, but hey, the guy played some very
Yeah.
good golf.
Yeah. Now, of course, Thanksgiving weekend, they haven't decided the 23rd or the 24th. So they're playing
So this is one round. Phil and Tiger.
round.
One round.
And Nick, maybe you can check it. Duke asked me last night, is this a match play or is it just a straight score?
What's
Is that
this?
something?
This is Tiger versus
This is
Phil.
Tiger versus
Oh.
winner.
Winner
$10 million match.
10 million.
Yeah.
Now, listen to this.
My guess is that they're
I'll
going to do
probably
match.
watch this. Yeah.
Oh, everybody's going to watch this. It's at Shadow Creek in Las Vegas, Duke.
yeah.
Huh.
Now, if you want to play there, Duke, you can.
Yeah.
But a
Yes.
couple things. You
Cost me a few bucks?
You have to be staying at the MGM Mirage Resort. Green fees are $500 for you to play. And the only way to get in that golf resort is by limo.
Of course it
So you're
is.
seeing medal or match play? That is a big question.
Both are pegged.
I would think. I mean, these guys love to play match once in a while. I would think they would want to play match just so one hole wouldn't just
So,
kill
Duke,
them.
I'll be more than
Like
happy.
the 10 I got on number 2
Right.
yesterday.
I'll be more
Ruined
than
my
happy
round.
to go play you tomorrow for $1 million
Yeah.
if somebody puts the $1 million on. So I don't, I know it's a winner take all $10 million, but it's not their money. If they said it was their own money out of their own bank account, that to me is real
And
pressure.
I trust the winner. I trust this money's going to charity, right? That would
I
seem-
don't know.
I mean, wouldn't you assume that? I mean, wouldn't you think they'd get a little grief if they're pocketing the money they win as opposed to, you think they need this money?
Yeah, through Tigers.
Got to go to charity.
Yeah. So, Duke, what would you rather see? Match play or medal play?
I'd rather see match. I mean, again, I'm coming off one lousy, the easiest hole at Champlain to get a 10 on yesterday. I just think they would both not want to be hurt by one horrible hole.
Right.
I think match play is more
I
fun.
agree with you because
I mean, each hole's a battle. Match play is fun.
yeah.
I would think they'd want match, but I haven't seen the reference. Hey, hang on.
It says
Go
match
back.
play would be wonderful for golf.
What-
Saying the
be
same
one
thing, but we're not seeing what they.
Yeah, I don't think that it's announced what they're going to be
Oh,
doing.
really
I think they're
interesting.
just. I don't think have they even announced it officially that they're going to be doing this?
Is it?
or-
Yeah. Is it a done? Is it a
I'm
done?
pretty
deal?
sure-
It is a done deal. They just haven't. Do
didn't-
you have a calendar in front of you?
But Nick's got the headline there. Yeah, Tiger
Yeah.
Woods versus Phil. Match play would be wonderful for golf fans.
So the
I agree
23rd or
totally.
24th of November.
Yeah.
Tell me what. I'm assuming it's either a Saturday or a
I
Sunday.
can.
Yeah.
I can
Probably
check
not
it.
a Sunday because of football. You
Well,
don't want to compete against
Thanksgiving
football.
is November 22nd, I believe. Thursday.
Okay, so it's
obviously.
Friday or Saturday.
I'm confirming that right now.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is indeed November 22nd. The
Yeah.
23rd is a Friday, 24th
Right.
a Saturday.
And they said that.
Once you put on a Friday, so Saturday you're competing against college football.
Right.
And
And they're
put
not
it on
even
a-
talking Sunday. Yeah, Friday.
Friday would be kind of fun. Everybody pretty much has.
Although
Yeah.
a lot of your golf fans, I'm not sure college football is going to take a ton, I think
That's
golf fans
true,
are
yeah.
maybe in a bit of a different world than
Yeah, probably
serious
right.
college football fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, of course, these big-time coaches. Urban Meyer, of course, a huge story in the world of college football.
And everything that's
He's
happening
still
in
hanging.
Maryland too.
These guys, I mean, he
Yeah.
lies at the Big Ten Media Day.
Yeah.
These guys are, I think we got 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's not a good not good for college coaches right now.
These guys.
It's just a mess because they should know better. I mean, honestly, like I think the whole thing with Joe Paterno and Penn State 10 years ago now,
Jerry Sandusky thing.
that kind of like set the standard. All right, listen. If you find out one of your assistants
maybe if you're
is
hearing
doing something
rumbling,
wrong,
even rumblings
say something
about an
about it, or else
assistant.
you'll get fired.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, these guys just keep on hiding it. And whether it's the Mike D'Antoni at or not him, the guy at Michigan State.
Brady Hoke?
No, that's Michigan.
No, Mr. Hardball, of course, is Michigan, the Michigan State guy.
The Michigan State head coach. I'm not getting his name right now. But and then Urban Meyer and all of these guys. Like it's just why?
Yeah.
Why are you doing it?
Yeah. But you talk to these or listen to these football coaches. They're not stupid. They may be getting like $8 million a year
They're making
plus
millions.
endorsements.
Mark D'Antonio. That's
Okay,
his name.
but
Yeah.
they also will say, and I've heard these big time callers, hey, my program supports 43 other
Sure.
sports
Yeah.
here. Without me, these other women's sports and these low level sports
Oh,
like
sure.
swimming.
But
and-
these guys drive me crazy.
Yeah.
Jimbo Fisher, when he was at Florida State, of course, he just took a $10 million a year contract at
Yeah.
Texas A&M maybe?
Yeah.
But with the Jameis Winston stuff,
Oh,
Right.
I feel bad for
Right.
these beat reporters because you have your sycophantish fans out there, if I use the right word, who love their team and the coach can do no wrong.
Yeah.
I feel bad for a lot of good beat reporters who have to deal with this stuff and get so
me,
harassed by
if-
the fans by trying to write about what's
if
going
you
on.
did what Jameis Winston did at Florida State, I'd be visiting you after the show tonight at the Northwest Correctional Center.
But Jimbo,
And if-
good luck asking Jimbo, what about Jameis? What about the word? He got up on the table and said that horrible word about women, whatever, stealing stuff.
Right.
Oh, Jameis is he's a good
And-
boy. Don't bother
now
me with
he's
those
suspended,
questions.
right, for the first 4 games
Yeah,
for groping
because-
an Uber driver.
Right.
Is that
I
right?
mean,
Yeah.
He clearly has not changed at all.
No,
I don't
sounds like we
understand.
got the same guy.
I don't even understand why he's still playing in the NFL. I mean, most of the guys that are he's really I don't think that talented to begin with.
But it
He's-
probably speaks to just the quarterback situation in the NFL, I
right.
guess.
It's just all a mess, and these players and. Not to bring up Deflategate, but when Tom Brady's getting 4 games, the same amount of games as
As a guy
a
groping
guy
a
who's
Uber
literally
driver.
sexually assaulting a
Yeah.
woman. He gets the same amount of games
Yeah.
for a guy deflating a football.
That's a great point.
What sense does that make?
and-
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
And, something's got to happen.
Yeah.
Like
about
a couple
it,
minutes.
obviously.
Any Giants news you want to
Well, I
quickly
was just
impart?
thank you. Well,
Your
I will.
new
I will-
back, a minor injury to your
2
big new
minutes.
back?
No, I will tell you this. That's very minor. I watched the Browns and Giants last week. Oh, very impressed by Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
This guy looked like a 12-year seasoned veteran.
He
looked very good, yeah.
Did he really?
Great. And the other guy, he only played 3 series. It was the
Tyrod Taylor, yeah.
No, Denzel Ward, the
Oh, okay,
cornerback.
yeah.
They had the 4th overall pick. Everybody assumed they would take Bradley Chubb
Yeah.
out of NC State defensive
Out of
end.
NC State.
They took cornerback out of Ohio State,
Yeah.
Denzel Ward. This kid looked
Really?
great.
Huh.
1 minute warning here. So the Giants play. They're on TV Friday night on Fox at the Lions. Patriots won last weekend. Like anyone cares. They're playing at Foxborough against Philadelphia. And just to tell you the significance, folks, of
In a few
preseason
seconds.
game, Cleveland went 4-0 last year during the preseason and went 0-16 during the
One
regular
thing I
season.
care about, none of my guys don't get injured. That's
That's
all
it.
I
That's
care
it.
about.
That's all
That's the
preseason.
big-
all I care about.
So that is it. That will conclude this edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. For Zach, good seeing you again there, Little Red. Duke,
Thanks, Doc. Good
pleasure.
job.
And we'll see you guys next week on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Remember, you do not have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. Ciao.
See ya.